because I'm not going to buy this argument that like these young girls were raped by what? That did they rape themselves? No, they got raped by people who are in powerful positions. And I want to know how many of those individuals are currently serving in our government in some role or the other.
Average American awake for 18 hours a day. How many minutes do you think they spend worrying about this stuff? Maybe they were raped, maybe they weren't. This is not what American families give a damn about.
Just to be clear,
they just don't.
We do know that there were victims, so that's not speculative.
In today's video, Abby Phillip and Anna Kasparian obliterate Kevin O'Leary on Newsnight, with Abby Phillip as a tense debate erupts over accountability and transparency. Kevin O'Leary tries to downplay the importance of the Epstein files, but Abby Phillip and Anna Kasparian push back hard, exposing the flaws in that argument as the pressure builds live on air. So let's dive in and watch how Abby Phillip and Anna Kasparian shut down Kevin O'Leary on Newsnight with Abby Phillip.
What they care about, look at the American economy right now. A lot of people had a lot of mistrust on the tariff issue. Economy's on fire. Indexes all-time highs. Every country on earth wants to cut a deal with America. The average person at the kitchen table is not worrying about Epstein. Don't give a damn. They want to provide for their family, and they are. America's working.
So
this is the American.
So hold on. Let me just say,
working.
Jerome Powell just announced that he's going to hold off on cutting interest rates again
Who
because
cares?
of the tariffs, and we've already started to see the inflationary pressures.
We have a lot more on the
tariffs.
economy later in the show, but just one thing that you said, Kevin, that I think is.
Epstein's alive?
No. There are two aspects of it. I mean, I think on the one hand, I think you're right that it's kind of like a niche interest here, this Epstein thing, but the niche is Trump's base, people in Trump's base. But secondly, on the broader picture of what is happening in the country and how do Americans feel about it, CBS YouGov poll asked, how do you think things are going here in this country? 61% said very or somewhat badly. That's not exactly a great indictment of the Trump economy. And then on top of that, to what I was saying earlier, on the Epstein files, this is what Republicans want. 83% want the files released. So I think both of those things is part of why Trump is having a hard time right now.
I hope they release them. They'll still be dead.
Yeah. He will still be dead.
He's going to be dead for a long time.
But Trump lives and dies on his base. And the base right now is, they're unsteady.
I don't understand why he hasn't released the files, as he said. It's one of the reasons I believe that they released today the files on Martin Luther King Jr., because now he's able to show, hey, look, I told you I was going to release the MLK file, the JFK file, and also the Epstein file. It's going to take a little bit of time. I don't know the reason why. Personally, I don't think people are going to find Donald in that file as much as they think that they're going to. That's just my personal opinion, kind of knowing him for a decade and a half. Nevertheless, I want to see the file. I'm sick and tired of all of the conspiracy theories that are popping up. If you are a detractor, yeah, he's guilty of something. If you are a supporter, he didn't do anything. This is all nonsense. How about just put the documents in front of the American people, release it, and let us then examine the documents, as we call it in law, documentary evidence. It'll speak for itself instead of listening to all the nonsense.
Abby Phillip and Michael Cohen are on firmer ground here because the broader evidence cuts against Kevin O'Leary's kitchen table framing. Economic headlines don't automatically translate into lived security. Even with strong market indexes, real wages have lagged inflation for years. Credit card debt is at record highs, and nearly half of Americans say they couldn't cover a $400 emergency. That gap between Wall Street optimism and household stress explains why public confidence stays low despite glowing macro numbers. On Epstein, dismissing it as a distraction ignores how political trust actually works. Transparency isn't about obsessing over one man who's dead, it's about whether powerful people are held to the same standards as everyone else. When documents stay hidden, conspiracy thinking fills the vacuum, and that erosion of trust carries real economic consequences, from market volatility to voter disengagement. Releasing records isn't niche politics, it's institutional hygiene. polling also undercuts the idea that this concern is marginal. Majorities across party lines support disclosure not because they expect a smoking gun, but because secrecy looks like protection. That perception matters more than the outcome itself. Governments that withhold information consistently lose credibility, even when the economy is performing well on paper. Cohen's legal framing matters here too. Evidence settles arguments better than punditry. Courts rely on documents precisely because narratives are unreliable. Putting facts in the open reduces misinformation, lowers political temperature, and prevents endless speculation cycles. Phillip and Cohen aren't denying economic priorities. They're arguing that accountability matters.
I would love for them to release the files. I am not at all in Trump's base. However, I care deeply about it because I'm not going to buy this argument that like these young girls were raped by what? That did they rape themselves? No, they got raped by people who are in powerful positions. And I want to know how many of those individuals are currently serving in our government in some role or the other.
Average American awake for 18 hours a day. How many minutes do you think they spend worrying about this stuff? Maybe they were raped, maybe they weren't. This is not what American families give a damn about.
Just to be clear,
They just don't
we
give
do
a
know,
We
do know that there were
We do
victims,
know
so
that
that's
there were
not
victims.
speculative.
We do know that there were victims. And the thing is, people can compartmentalize, right? And the reason why people care about this a lot, not just because of the very real Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking and the crimes that were committed, it is the fact that Donald Trump himself spent years, him and his allies, promised their base, we are going to deliver the Epstein client list that's going to take down all of your Democratic enemies.
Bring
Yeah,
it.
well, yes,
Nobody
bring
gives
it.
a
Donald,
poop.
please. Donald,
Nobody
bring
gives
it.
a poop.
You don't give a poop, okay?
I-
Other
polling
people do,
indicates-
including people like me
speak
who
on
want
behalf of the
justice.
majority of
And I
Americans.
want to know how many of those people are in our
Nobody
government.
gives
I don't know about
poop
that. The poll
about
seems
this.
to show
Yeah,
something.
the poll
A
seems
lot,
to
a lot
show
of
different than
Republicans
that.
do. I mean, look, on the MLK files, I mean, it's interesting because the family did not want this released in this way. And Bernice King, Dr. King's daughter, posted this on X not just a little while ago. Now do the Epstein files, as she says, with a photo of her father, because, you know, Trump's argument on the Epstein files is that, oh, you know, people might get hurt by what's in this. He didn't seem to be that concerned about that when it came to the MLK
No,
files.
but Abby, they did warn the family that these things
Yeah,
are
they
coming down the
did.
pipeline and it's going to be released tomorrow. Aveda King came out in support of this.
Right, but she's a Trump supporter.
She is a Trump
Yes.
supporter, but she was pure, like, yeah, transparency all day long. Let's go. So, you know, so maybe the family split on this idea that these files are going to get released. Ultimately, I do want to know, you know, who killed, or, well, we know who killed him.
Listen,
which is,
I'm not suggesting that it should remain secret forever because there was a date by which this would be released, but the timing of this very moment, I think her implication here is that it is being used as a tool to distract.
Anna Kasparian's side of this debate is grounded in something Kevin O'Leary and Angie Wong keep brushing past. Transparency isn't a niche obsession, it's a basic accountability issue when crimes involve power, wealth, and the state. We already know through court records and federal investigations that Jeffrey Epstein ran a sex trafficking operation with real victims. That's not speculation or partisan framing, it's established fact. When crimes operate at that scale, secrecy doesn't protect families at the kitchen table. It protects institutions and people who benefited from silence. There's also solid polling that undercuts the claim that nobody cares. Multiple surveys show majorities of Americans, including Republicans, support releasing the Epstein-related documents. That matters because these files were explicitly politicized for years by conservative leaders who promised disclosure. Walking that back now isn't pragmatism, it's credibility erosion. You don't get to hype transparency as a weapon and then dismiss it as irrelevant once it becomes inconvenient. The economic deflection also doesn't fully land. People can worry about inflation, jobs, and interest rates while still demanding justice. Historically, Americans have done both. Watergate unfolded during economic strain, yet accountability still mattered. Pretending moral accountability is a luxury ignores how trust in institutions directly affects economic stability. The MLK file comparison makes the inconsistency clear. If transparency is suddenly dangerous because people might get hurt, then that standard should apply across the board, not selectively. Anna's position reflects a simple principle. When the state holds information tied to confirmed abuse and powerful figures, sunlight isn't a distraction, it's the point.
Everything in politics is used as a tool. I mean, we have to be
Fair,
honest with it.
yeah.
For example, they turn around, they show this photo of Donald Trump's birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein. Is that not being used as a tool? Again, if you are a Trump supporter, you're saying, what does it mean? It has nothing to do with it. It's not, there's no evidence, there's no criminality. If you're a detractor, yeah, this just goes and it shows proof positive that Donald Trump was somehow involved in this thing. You know, I keep saying, and people get angry at me, oh, why are you taking a knee? Why are you kissing Donald's ring? No, I'm not. I'm not defending him. I'm stating a fact that in the decade and a half that I was by the man's side, I never saw him doodle once. He's just not a doodler. Me,
Michael, hang on.
I write on the paper.
I mean, we've been through this.
He didn't write it.
There are a lot
nor
of
did he
images
draw
that
it.
Donald Trump drew.
Yeah,
And,
none of
and-
those were drawn
and
by him, by
auctioned.
the way.
So who drew them?
I won't say, but I have two
All right, so
guesses, and I'm pretty
that's some
sure I'm
news here
100%
that
correct.
he auctioned off photos that he signed,
He signed
as his images that he did not draw.
Well, a lot of artists, I guess.
Okay,
I'm just-
a
I'm
lot
just-
of artists
all
do
of
that.
you,
I'm just
the
being
worst
clear.
case
But
scenario,
the
all
other-
this stuff's true. Does that in any way affect the American economy or what's going
No,
on with
There's
And-
more to life
and
than the
listen,
American economy.
who
There's
gives-
justice and the fact that we might have pedophiles serving in our government right now
Oh
as
my
we speak.
goodness,
That's the problem.
horrible. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what people care about is how to feed their families and how the economy grows and take care of their futures. This stuff is poop on a stick. Nobody gives. I got to stop.
If we want to talk economy, which we will,
We
what
should.
is Trump
That's what
doing
matters.
other than providing absolute uncertainty, injecting all of this into the market? We have the bond markets here trying to wonder whether or not the debt that's coming from the
Epstein,
big, beautiful
dead guy
bill.
matters? No, he's dead.
The value
Still
of
dead.
the
Tell that to his
the value
He'll
of
be
the
dead
dollar
tomorrow
went
morning.
down
I
like
guarantee he's
20%.
dead tomorrow morning.
Tell that to the victims and his
Come to the
base.
victims
Okay,
It's his base that
every-
cares.
It's his base that actually
It's his
wants
base
it,
that wants
even
it.
more than the Democrats. See, now what happens is the base is screaming for the documents. They're not getting it. All of a sudden, the Democrats, of course, are jumping into it and saying, hey, release it, release it, release it. And then the Republicans are now all on message saying the same thing, which is, well, you never wanted it before. Now all of a sudden you want it now. How about just do the right thing, do the easy thing, and then just release the file?
It's coming.
One quick thing for you, Michael. I mean, Trump sometimes overreacts to things like this. You don't think that the files probably have that much to do with Trump. Is he
don't.
overreacting?
You know, I think he's getting bad advice from people that are within his circle. They're probably feeding to him, hey, you know, this could be damaging in this way. I believe he should just release the files, put an end to the conspiracy theories around it, and then let's just all move on.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Well,
Agreed.
there you go.
Agreed.
The old person.
Okay, there you go. We got some agreement here.
When you zoom out, Michael Cohen and Ahmed Baba are grounding this debate in something Kevin O'Leary keeps brushing past. Justice and trust actually matter to people, not just stock charts. Yes, Americans care about feeding their families, but that doesn't mean they suddenly stop caring if powerful figures evade accountability. History shows scandals don't disappear just because markets are up. Watergate unfolded during economic growth, and it still reshaped politics for decades. There's also real evidence that secrecy fuels instability, not transparency. Studies on government trust consistently show that withholding information increases public suspicion and conspiracy thinking, which ultimately harms institutions and markets alike. Releasing the Epstein files wouldn't tank the economy. It would remove uncertainty that's been weaponized by both sides. And the idea that this is just a political distraction ignores the fact that a large share of Republican voters themselves want the files released. Polling shows transparency on Epstein isn't a fringe demand. It's coming from Trump's own base. That matters because leaders who ignore their base's demands usually end up creating more chaos, not less. Finally, accountability and economic confidence aren't opposites. Markets hate uncertainty, and nothing creates uncertainty faster than unresolved allegations involving powerful people. Michael and Ahmed aren't saying obsess over scandal. They're saying you don't get stability by pretending justice is optional. That's a reality conservatives and liberals eventually run into, whether they like it or not. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out Ground News in the description down below.